Well, we've come over to see the house where supposedly Luther died, and there's this little daycare center right next to it. I think it's a daycare center. So, but saw the little kids, and that seemed more uplifting than showing a building somebody died in. But there it is. So this is the building. I thought there was someplace else, but this is actually the visitor center, and they've mated it and then brought you around. And so somewhere up in this area is where he actually died, and it was interesting. But yeah, there you have it. So. A construction project here. I didn't realize that this is, I guess they're building Luther's house, or Luther's death house, which is kind of disappointing, but no, okay. Yeah, look at that. No, yeah, see. Oh, we gotta put the lawn out in front, guys. Come on. Up. No.
How was the bike pass last night?
Well, they're all having a good time. Don't know what the game is, but that's what the game is.
But also every Thursday,
well, here is the house that Luther passed in. At least that's tradition says. Now we're finding out it's kind of, but it's a little fuzzy. And across the street is the church. There's the church, and he actually gave his last 4 speeches here, preaching here, and the last one he said, "I tell you more, but I'm not feeling very well," and then he would cross the thing, and later that evening passed away. So, and we're going to go in, and I was hearing the organ a moment ago. There's a dog out there. It's all a lady there having to pet the dog. They have an organ concert, she said, from noon to 12:30, and he is warming up.
No flash, please. They have asked for
This is the way to. This is the way to videotape a church. This is where he would have preached from. Oh, more, please, more.
So just before we get on to the next part, this is the pulpit that Luther went up to the last person to preach from when he died. And then over on the wall, that spectacular red and gold piece, which was probably made from the coat.
This is Luther's boyhood home, and we just toured it. The interior has been pretty much all modernized and just turned into a museum, so you didn't even get a view of the what do you call it, the old floors and stuff. It was all kind of just turned it into a museum. So, but there we have it. And so that's the Luther home. And up the street, shoot up the street. That's the Luther church where he was baptized Catholic. So there you have it. Well, this is the world famous altarpiece painted by Kronich the Elder. I think that's correct. Was originally started by himself and then was finished by his son and put up here in 1555. So it was after the death of Luther. And we were just pointed out how there is the blood coming from the side of Jesus is actually shooting over and landing on the elder next to, this would be the man with the book open is Martin Luther. And the man next to him represents all mankind, and the man next to him is John the Baptist. And you can see the tents and things behind. And there is an angel up in the sky. And you get some really good views of this. There's a snake on the cross. This was the risen Christ. The door behind is open, and this is Jesus emerging, wrapped in a shroud, with his feet on one side is the what do you call it, the death, and the other one is the devil. Well, we are here in Erfurt, Germany today, and this church up here was actually where Luther preached, and he was preaching during his ban from preaching when he was when the Catholic Church was trying to figure out what to do with him. This actually is a bridge, as you can see, water flowing underneath it, and the church was actually on the water and on the bridge, and then they turned around and they added these shops, or these houses, and on the other side are shops. And so she said this is probably the longest bridge with housing and a church built on it in Europe. And See if I can get a little better vantage point on this, but this little island you can see through here. There's more of the river coming through on that side, and but it's kind of unique with a river runs through it.
Would they ever own the entire house up and down, or is it just once upon a time would have been house?
Well, we're here in the medieval kind of center of Erfurt. This is the town hall. The road just to the left that you can just see kind of heading off would have been the main east-west road across Germany. Was kind of the king, they call it the King's Road. Now it's just kind of buried up. Last night we had dinner in this little street-side cafe. You can see the beautiful buildings. Here comes a train. Come through my shot, there it. This is Erfurt again. These trains run pretty regularly through here. I'll take and show you some of the, oh heck, there we go, another one. There's only 2 tracks, so there shouldn't be another one coming soon. But here's some of the beautiful restored, oh, here comes a truck. It's all going against me. This whole area had been bombed pretty heavily, so this is all reconstruction. But that would be the downtown area of Erfurt, and now we're going to continue on the King's Road. The bridge that we saw with the church on it, and that was also part of the King's Road or King's Highway. So, and now I got to run because the people left me. They don't give you much time for video or anything here. I'll take and step out onto the street and take my life in my hands getting run over by a bus or a train. We're going up toward this next church. Lots of churches on this tour. It just gives you a little feel for the modern city of Erfurt. Well, just over from the square that I was just talking about is the, well, what you would say is a mighty cathedral. This is Catholic and pretty impressive. And as you're saying, wow, that's a big church, isn't it? Then you swing over a little bit, and here is the cathedral. And this again is also Catholic. And I will put the name of the thing on the bottom of the screen. Let's see, she was just telling us that there was a, oh yeah, there's a reinforcement up here. This would have been the fortress for protecting the town, the high ground, so to speak. So anyway, we're going up and into the church, so that should be quite a hike. As you can see, there's just a few steps to get you up to God.
That's a well.
I guess this is St. Severus Church. I'm listening to her in one ear. And you can zoom in on the bell tower up here. Well, we now have come inside. This is actually St. Mary's Church. It's the inside of the church we were just filming outside. It dates back to the 1400s, and some of the finest medieval glass, stained glass in the world, according to the guide. And here I'll run down and show you some of the stained glass. Pretty amazing. And then I'll swing you around and look at the glass on this side. And it's incredible. And I'll swing you around this way. And this gives you the modern, much more modern section of the church. With the great organ at the end of it. And here are some of the very intricately carved choir stalls. This is where the choir would actually sit during a mass. Very, very dark wood. We're outside of our next stop and just came close to this wind farm. The Germans have these absolutely everywhere now. And I don't know what percentage of electricity they get from wind, but it must be pretty high because they're just herds of these things. This is the closest I've really been to one. Sorry about the trees popping on here, but it is what it is. Wind farms in Germany. Well, we are in Eisenach. This is the central square. I think this is King George and the dragon, slaying the dragon. Looks like a dragon. And then if you come down, I think this is pretty cute. These little critters spewing water out into the thing. Now we've come to see this little church, and then right behind it is our Luther residence that we're going to be going to. This is the church, Eisenach, and the central square. This is all in East Germany. I've been quite surprised at the quality and the way everything looks, but he said, well, a lot of it was not torn down by the East Germans, but eventually, once they merged, the money became available to buy up and clean up and repair all of this. And so she said it would have looked very tired, but it wouldn't have been necessarily just bulldozed and turned into Stalinist and Khrushchev apartments, which is certainly a great thing for East Germany. This is the interior of that church that we were just looking at on the outside, and this is one of the very first churches in the area that converted from Catholicism over to Protestant. And I'll just swing you around and show you the front. They're about to start a service, so it has to be very quiet. And the claim to fame of this church is that a member of J.S. Bach's family has played the organ here for generations. Beautiful little church. And here they're ringing the bell in this church for the noon service. Again, J.S. Bach and his family, and, it was the brother, and then it was the father, and then it was the son, and then the grandson, and so they've had generations of Bachs that have been playing in this church. So beautiful little town. the sound of the bell. Well, here we are at the pinnacle of, well, not quite the pinnacle of the castle, but this is Wartburg Castle. And I'm going to do a long pan around. You can see the little city popping out of the trees here. And you swing around, and this will show you Wartburg Castle. Now this is where Martin Luther was held or protected by the princes of Germany while he did his translation of the Bible from Latin. No. He didn't use the Vulgate, which was the Latin. What he did was he used the original Hebrew and can't remember the other language. Aramaic, maybe, something like that. Anyway, he converted. He actually translated it out of the Greek and Hebrew. That was what it was. So he wasn't taking and copying the Vulgate and its mistakes and its canonic law that the Catholic Church had put on. But what he was actually doing was overriding all of that and going directly to the source, so that the German Bible would be as close to the original intent. And so this is Wartburg, and he was here, I think they said 10 months. Being protected by the electors, so that he could complete his Bible and not be in trouble with the locals. Wartburg Castle. We've driven a couple of hours over to Worms, and here in Worms is the monument to the Reformation. Of course, the main guy would be this guy right here, which is Martin Luther, and just below him is, in German, you can see the script that says, "Here I stand, I can do no other, so help me God, amen," his famous statement. There are a variety of other people on this, and one of them is Savonarola, who was a major Catholic priest that would go out and storm against, this is Savonarola on this corner, and he would be fighting against, so as I said, Savonarola was kind of crazy, and he went out into the Catholic churches and started killing or destroying all what they called the bonfire of the vanities. The tremendous noise being made by these little ones that decided to enjoy it. This one should be Petrus Walrus, 1197. I don't know who he is. We have not heard him at all.
Aber vielen Dank, bisschen Wir sind in 2 Minuten. Bitte, danke sehr.
Okay, can we get
Okay, and then
This
we've got
is John Wycliffe here.
English?
A little view of John Wycliffe looking much like Moses, writing his English Bible.
Ja, die sind Touristen. Ja, jetzt aus England. Ja, jetzt müssen wir gehen, weil
Going around to this corner. I'm not sure who we're seeing here. I know it's not Bob. Let's see here. This would be, Johannes Huss. Well, this is Mr. Huss. And the ladies on the memorial stand for cities that have been involved with the Reformation. And they've got a bunch of little medallions around the side you can see down below. Each one is also another representation for somebody that was big in the struggle. So anyway, that gives you a little bit of history of this. If you want more, well, look it up, probably find it online. Well, with nothing to do with Luther. We're here in the great cathedral of Worms, Germany, and it was consecrated apparently in 1025, which means that they completed its building and opened it for the public. So it must have taken a while to finish this, and this is a Romanesque church, they call it. And off to the side is their organ, and traveling up you can see some of the different pieces on the sides. Cross over here and show you this one. And then we're going to head to the other end, which is the beautiful part of the church. And I would think that, well, that end had kind of ugly stained glass. If you notice, it's very modern. I would assume that this was the original altar, but don't really know that. And this is Roman Catholic, so it's nothing to do with Protestant either. But, of course, the Catholics know how to do real estate, so this is pretty amazing real estate. Massive church. I'm going to walk up onto the some of the older pieces, side altar pieces. And take you back through the choir stalls on the sides to the main altar. Really quite amazing. And come across, there's the other choir stalls on this side. And up on the view of the other side altar piece. A little more detail for you. Oops. That window is causing the camera to be out. There we go. I'll take you over to some really nice stained glass. This does not look modern. This looks like it's an older piece. Cathedral at Worms. Well, we're here in Heidelberg going up to the castle, and this is the vermicular that is going up and down. I've been trying to figure out how it's actually bringing itself up and down because there's no apparent. Yeah, it looks like there's a cable behind it.
My ticket, that's good, isn't it?
We did not do this when we came in the other time. Our bus driver drove us way up onto the thing. I thought it was new, but Sarah says it's been here since the 80s, so apparently we just didn't realize it was available. Just take a walk up and we'll hop in, and yeah, now you can see the cable laying on the ground behind us. Nope, you can't see it. Well, we are here at Heidelberg Castle. This is the main entrance.
Right here, please.
And they're going to set up
you
a
have to smile. Sorry.
smile.
Yes, that in the background. So
This is,
you're going to have that in the background.
it's all reconstruction.
Look at Alyssa.
1910 through 1940s. Nazis did some of the reconstruction. The statues on the front of the book, the building here are replicas of the ones that actually are, some of them are stored inside the chapel here. showing different electors. Anyway, I think that must be the Heidelberg city flag. And, but all of this is pretty much reconstruction. They said that it was blown up by Henry the 14th, I think it was, in 1788 during the war. And so this area here, you can see behind it, is all open to the sky. And so anyway, so this is Heidelberg Castle. It's gorgeous. We just took an interior tour, and I asked him, I said, so how much of this stuff is really original? And he said, well, really none of it. And even the rooms that we saw, he admitted, he said, are fantasy, because he said they really don't know what it looked like before it was blown up by the French in 1788. So the 30 Years' War, I think it was. So anyway, so I'll just give you a little bit there, pressing us for time because they want to get going, and so I'm not going to be able to do much more than what I'm doing. But you can see the electors there, the different German princes, and some of these do still exist, as they say. They're inside, stored in the chapel. The main construction, they said, was between 1900 and 1910, and then again in the 1930s when the Nazis claimed this. Again at Heidelberg Castle, and I'm just run you down here and through the monumental wall. He said the wall on the final castle was 40 meters thick. That's a lot of wall. And I like the little details you see on the top here. You can see the big steel spikes that come down to seal this door in the ceiling. And he was telling that this ring, he said, has a crack in it, and he said that one of the electors has said if we can find somebody that can bite through it. And so a witch came and she tried to bite through it, and of course she didn't, so he didn't have to give her the castle. That was interesting. And I've lost my group, so we're going to just make a turn here and show you the moat, and then try to figure out where everybody went. My guess is they're all at the Louvre. This is all new construction, the visitor center here. Bring it around and show you what else is available there. Here's another little arch. Now this would be on the outside of the wall. They had a dry moat that I'll show you here in a minute. This would be your dry moat. And he said they would have had livestock down in here. And the inside of this turret right here, you can see there's a door. That was the dungeon, and he said they basically just tossed you in, and every now and then somebody go by and say, oh yeah, we got a few guys in the dungeon. They threw some crusted bread in, and that was pretty much what you lived on. The other most interesting thing on this side of the castle, he said the medieval castle actually stopped right against this wall. And he said the little bump out there right in the middle of the thing was the king's toilet. So he would open the thing and it would drop down into the moat. And so that would have been the king's potty. And all of this was added in over the years. So this would be Heidelberg Castle ruins. And I have much better time this time because the last one, although we had a lot more time, the last time I was here it poured just buckets, and so it was very difficult to videotape or photograph. Well, we are here at the site of, this is St. Elizabeth's burial site, and you can see some of the precious stones that are still left on the thing, although some of them are pried off and taken away. Huge couple of star sapphires right there. You can see, they're the star sapphires. Swinging down, see the mosaic floor. And then I'm going to take it out of this room.
Don't forget, there's a service starting at 12, so we need to, you want to get back out and get some more pictures out before the service starts.
Walk you around the...
The service is taking place behind the screen.
This is from the 1200s. Enormous old Baroque or Gothic church. And walk you over this direction. And you'll see in here the Landgraves, they called it. And show you some of the Landgrave burial sites. Gotta pay a lot of money to be buried in this area. They said they have huge catacombs underneath that are the lesser people. In other words, they had not quite as much money. Beautiful stained glass. They said that this city was designated a hospital city during World War II, so they didn't have to remove all the windows and everything to protect them from being bombed, because they used this as a hospital area for all of the wounded soldiers. And so it was kind of a gentleman's agreement that they wouldn't bomb the church. Some beautiful hand-carved choir stalls. These things apparently are all from the 1200s. The church is supposed to be pretty rock solid original, so. And she was made a saint because of her service, being a woman of great wealth. She gave a lot of money to taking care of the poor. Taking a wander out this way. And they were saying that brand new work and that they put in blocks the view of the enormous beautiful windows that are behind it. It's kind of a shame. We have a service starting in a few minutes, so we're going to move out of here quickly. Hope they started the bells. massive church.
Work alongside the master and watch you give you the bits to do, and then gradually you get more and more to do, and then you become stone carving your own
In here in this church, this is the husband and wife. This is von Hindenburg, who would be the last guy before Hitler takes over. He was ancient by the time they got him to take back the chancellery, and of course he died pretty quickly after that, and Hitler just said, oh well, now that the door's open, and that's how he became the chancellor. And so I'll swing you back over and show you a little more of the interior. You can hear the bells ringing up above. Okay, and here's this rascal. It is one big church, and it's really landlocked really tightly, so there's really very little you can see about it. But I'll just take and pan you around a little bit. Everybody's waiting, I think, for me to come to the van, so this will be quick, simple, and easy. Unfortunately, it's the total wrong time to be here because you can't see anything. The monumental doors. Oh, some big pieces of wood, I'll tell you. And then just come around this way. This side at least have a little sun on it so you can see the color of the stone. St. Elizabeth Church, and I can't remember what city we're in. We've just driven about 2 hours to get here, and this is just kind of breaking up our day. Has nothing to do with Luther. This is a Catholic church, still a Catholic church, always be a Catholic church. But there you have it. Well, here we are in Grindelwald, Switzerland. We just arrived. And we've been being pursued by a large thunderstorm, and so I literally dumped my bag and came running down like crazy because I think this might be the one opportunity to get some good photographs, because there's quite a thunder. You're hearing the thunder off in the distance, not right at the moment, but just used a huge clap a minute ago. But I'll take and swing you around, and you can see there's actually a, let's see if we can find it. It's a whole series of waterfalls coming down off of this peak. And you can hear the grumbling down the, and the Eiger is here someplace. I don't know where the Eiger is, but made famous by the movie The Eiger Sanction with Clint Eastwood. And just swing you around. It's a little town, kind of nestled right down in the middle of all of these mountains. There's a mountain peak that's getting some serious clouds. As we were coming in, it wasn't too bad, but it looks like it's really going to cloud over here really quickly. And unfortunately, my room is on the back side of the hotel, so I'm looking at a parking lot and a wall. Here's a car bus coming in, going to run me over. that they can get socked in here with a storm and you won't see anything for other than cloud for a couple days. We're at about 3,300 feet above sea level. Grindelwald. Well, this morning we've driven about a half an hour from our hotel over to Lauterbruden. How do you like that? Lauterbruden. You can even see it on the front of the bus. If you look quickly, you can see Lauterbruden. That's how it's spelled. I know everybody's wanting to know that. And this is the Lauterbruden waterfall. And so it's, and we're about to take a cable car to a train to a something, and we're going to go way up high. I think right now we're probably about 4,500 feet, something like that. Not too high. But welcome to Lauterbruden, the official wide spot on a narrow road. And here's some of our group, all standing around asking questions. And here's some more of the valley. This reminds me a little bit of Yosemite National Park, my favorite place in the world. And then up on top you can see we are here July the 10th, and there are glaciers up on top and probably snowing up on top, so because it is very high, 14,000 feet, something like that. So, take you past this building and you can see more of the glaciers coming down the passes. So this is Lauterbruden. Well, we are leaving Mirren at about 5,800 feet, and we're starting our way down to Grindelwald, I think it is. From there we're switching trains, and we're heading across, and we're going to go up to the roof of Europe, I think they call it. And they show up here some of the mountain peaks and the huge cliffs. And here we're getting a little more view down the valley. And we're heading toward Lauterbruden. We're Lauterbruden. I'm terrible with foreign names. Here's the little town. And now we're on our next form of transportation going down. This is the cable car taking us down to, and the name of the city is? Lauterbruden. Okay. I'm traveling with Valerie, her husband let her run off with me. We're going to go up to the roof of Europe, top of Europe. Well, we are now on a much noisier incline railroad. And as we can see, the clouds are lowering, so this may turn out to be a bad idea, but we're still trying to get up to 11,400 feet at the top of Europe. And we're hoping that when we get there, we're still an hour by train. We take an hour on this one, and then we turn around and get on another train. That'll take us swing you back. And it is more than likely snowing up on the top regions. And we are going to double our altitude as we go forward. It's much quieter. Whew. Very impressive. And this is where we just stopped. You get a cookie if you can pronounce it. And here we are again, higher. At some point we're going to go into strictly tunnels for about a half an hour, and that will eventually get us there. My hope is that what we're seeing in the bright sky in the distance there will be moving over the other side of the mountains where we're going to be, because I sure would like to be able to have some view. And that's where we've come from. That's the middle, kind of the middle grade town there, just beyond the sign. This is very cool. And this is where we're going. We're currently inside a tunnel, and they say the tunnel lasts about 35 minutes from what we've been told. And then we come out and we will be at 11,336 feet, I think is what the total was. Okay, we are now at Icemere at about 10,400 feet, and it's a wide spot. They give you 5 minutes here. You can see the huge glacier down below, or glaciers. You can really feel the altitude at this point. And they've just got windows, and this is Icemere. Well, we are now at Jungfrau, which is the top of Europe, they call it. We're at 11,333 feet. And we're going to see if we can go up higher. There's some elevators, and we could smell food cooking. I could actually go for some ice cream or something at this point, and something to drink. But this shows you the huge glacier that flows out from this area. It's probably the best view of a glacier I've ever had in my life. Looks like a road. Now we're going to take a close look at the altitude here, 11,782 feet. I think we're as high as we can go, although there is a spiral staircase, so we'll find that out. And here's my traveling companion, Val, from Kodiak, Alaska. She was the other one that was brave enough to go launching off on our own to see this top of the world here, top of Europe. And this is really nice. The weather is not too bad. We haven't been outside yet, so we're figuring it's going to be extremely cold. But more a little bit later. We're going to just keep on moving further and see if we can buy some ice cream, because ice cream would be good at this altitude. Okay, hopefully you can hear me over the roar of the wind. I am freezing my behind off. I'm wearing lightweight jungle pants that are, like zip nylon. And it's about a 40-mile-an-hour wind. And the temperature is right around 30. So the wind chill has got to be about 20 below. And I am absolutely freezing. But look at the girls behind here are carrying on. And we are now at 11,000, almost 11,800 feet. And I'll take a scan over the ridge here that tells you what we're looking at. Hopefully this comes out. Let's see, it shows you the height and the different types of mountains. This is the little peak that we're out on. I'll swing you around to the other side. I have no gloves. Look at this little guy up here. These guys are all waiting for food. Hey guys, there's not much food out here. They're going to pick the bodies clean after they freeze to death. And here we look down the other side. I think Valerie is headed for the, nope, she's out here. We just finished ice cream. We found ice cream up here and they were in these special glasses so you could celebrate the fact that you've been here. Perhaps not the best weather, but you still can see, I would bet, every bit of 50 miles to that far ridge. And this is really, really spectacular. I'm so glad that I did it. It costs us about $200 for all of the trains that we've had to take. And here I'll take and shoot you down onto the glacier below us. And over to see this bird just sitting here staring at these people going, well, I can fly up here, but how'd you get here? Love the bright yellow bill. Look at that bill. He's, of course, on this side because the other side has the wind. Okay, and here we are seeing the dreams of Switzerland. Oh, very, very, very cute. Uh-oh. Oh. You guys out having some fun there, popping out of the wall. Showing how they cut the trail through the point where it finally came out of the mountain. Fatally injured workers. Had a lot of guys die on this program apparently. And here we've reached a cave, highest cave in Europe, I guess. Swing it around. You can see down there. And now we are in an ice tunnel. Gotta be careful how we walk because it's all ice. This is very cool. And more than one. I made myself laugh. And at the end of the ice tunnel is the train, and then we get on the train and we start over. Whoops. Okay. No need for this livery. Dropping it. Walk like a duck, flat-footed, just walk like a duck. Quack, 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 quack. This is actually apparently dug straight through the glacier that we were looking at. This is interesting, but it is, I would guess we're about 20 degrees right now. Enough of this. Well, I don't know how better to start coming to an end on this section of the video of Switzerland. We're in Grindelwald, and this is my new room. They just moved me to one from overlooking the, believe it or not, the laundry, which they have two guys doing the laundry last night. Got a big fight and were screaming at each other for 2.5 hours. I call them Geppetto and his evil son. And So they moved me to the front, so I now have this view from my hotel room, which is much nicer. And so I'll show you some of Grindelwald. I think that's right. Anyway, but I just walked out and saw this wonderful rainbow, and I thought, what a perfect way to sum this section up. Now we just got one more day. We'll be in Zurich, and then we fly out of Zurich. So I'm shooting this quite early at 6 a.m. There's a cloud bank rolling in, although it doesn't mean a whole lot because it can come in and it can disappear in a matter of minutes. It's really amazing how the light and everything changes here so rapidly. But in the center of the screen, this is the Eiger, and I was told by someone from the climbing community that that white section on this side is known as the White Spider, and one of the hardest climbs across in Europe because you're going across basically a vertical snowfield. And I'll take you back out and run you up this way. And now there's enough car traffic showing up that it's hard to hear the roar of all of the waterfalls. But an hour ago when it was dark, there were no cars, no people walking around, and you could really hear the waterfalls coming down from way up on the mountains. The Eiger, I think, is 14,000 feet, if I remember right. I've been watching this fog bank slowly climbing down into the valley, re-exposing this peak that was completely covered just a few minutes ago. And the light show is just absolutely amazing, as you can just see the clouds and the light changing on the mountains. Get back up to the Eiger. Now the Eiger is shrouded slightly, and it's probably snowing up here at this point. That's the snow. It's just amazing to watch the scene keep changing just minute by minute. Just give you a little sense of Grindelwald as we're heading out, heading back to, heading on to Zurich.
Isn't it? That's so idyllic.
There's the little train.
Never guessed that we were just
right in the middle of it. We came down on. You can see it in the middle. They're moving for a vehicle. I can't really.
It's just gorgeous.
Reach in too far with
I wonder if
power
species
gets
of people are skiing down around or something.
vibrate all over. Well, we pulled off the road on our way into Zurich at Zumgernesee is the name of the lake. Hopefully I haven't totally slaughtered that. And it just shows you how people live here. See, little houses and their fields and pastures way up on the sides of the mountain, and then you come down, and then the more sensible people, I guess we call them, live down in the valleys where you don't have to climb to get to your house. And this is just all through this area, just miles and miles and miles of seeing this. I'm going to go. And here's a little better perspective on Zungernesee, the lake. Very typical little town. You can head out toward the end of the lake there. I can't tell whether there's a waterfall possibly down there. Yeah, it might be a waterfall. You see all of the mist rising right there. It's a little hard to tell.
So of course the water
We have arrived in Zurich.
Purely because of the water transport.
A couple of great churches. We'll be heading to one of them.
By far and away the easiest way to transport.
Show you some
Particularly
trumpeter swans down here.
So water was crucial. This is where it all started. It started to
These guys are
develop.
lazy. They're sleeping.
Right, let's press on.
And heading out that direction is Lake Zurich. Just we can swing you around a little bit, show you the city. Yes, that's interesting color. I don't know which church we're going to. I can see 3 or 4 of them here very quickly. But,
Where you get to read first? Yes, no. I was wondering how you got all of those. Thoroughly. There's no magic. I don't have that.
We're here in the basement of this church in Zurich. This is a statue of Charlemagne that had been on the top of the church. They brought it in because it was obviously being eaten away by the elements. And we can't quite figure out if Charlemagne is actually buried here. They think not, but then again, they would say maybe within. I'm just going to walk out of the crypt. Not sure who's in the crypt, but we're in the crypt. It's an exciting time to see the crypt. And down here at the crypt, we have the politest doorman I think we've ever met. The politest doorman that we've ever had with us. It just comes right along. That's Rodney from our group.
Oh, that ancient mailbox.
You have your replication.
And this is the upstairs of the church. Zwilling would have, if I've got that name right, would have preached here. They're modern stained glass windows. You can get your little run up on those. And I'll bring it around. And then they've got some very modern stained glass windows, which are like, okay. And this one up here, which looks like a bunch of geodes that have been cut in half. Swing up to the great organ. Lots of angels on the organ. You can zoom you up onto the. Look at all the angels. Well, the first thing to see here, this is a Zwingling's room. The other guy involved in the Protestant Reformation who didn't agree with all of the stuff that Luther was doing, so they ended up with a split, which split the church. And we're going to come into the actual room that he was in. This was his room. It has been kept exactly the way that he used it. Now that little door that I showed on the other side is actually the feed for the furnace in this room. This way the servant could come in and put wood in there and keep it warm, and he wouldn't have to be bothered. And an old wooden ceiling, wooden walls, a little niche over here, and view of the garden. Actually not a bad little place to live. And they've locked the little thing here. When I come around here, there's a little stained glass of Mr. Zwingli. He doesn't look like a happy guy, but then he was killed in battle very young. And so you can see the furniture. Apparently it is the original furniture, I guess, from what we can understand, although that ugly lamp is not part of it. So that is Zwingling's room, and yeah, look at there, yeah, fresh face there. I can edit that out. Well, we're here again in Zurich, and we just took a little water taxi up and down the thing out onto the lake for a couple hundred yards and back up the river. So it is, fortunately there's a breeze, but the sun is just really intense. I'm getting toasted here, and unfortunately the inside of the boat was hotter than heck. Whew. But here we are.